I am not. So we need a child that knows how to push away their own gratification. A child that will understand the sentence, look, this is going to be really hard. We're going to push through, we're going to do it, and then at the end of it, in a few months, it's going to all be worth it. Okay? So patience doesn't mean, you know, waiting in the waiting room for the dentist. It means actually being willing to put effort in the present in order to sow rewards in the future. Okay? Being able to push out on gratification. Some experts think that this is the biggest challenge for parents today and also the most important one. And if you cover just this very well, you're going to have a happy child no matter what. Okay? Research. The third thing we're going to talk about is confidence. What is confidence? Confidence is the strength. I hope I'm writing it correctly. Inner strength, okay? So the strength of your personality, your principles, your identity, okay? So how strong you are on the inside, how unfluctuating you are. Are you tempted to follow trends? Are you fooled by false promises? Or are you kind of like holding your principles and you're confident? Okay, so confidence is all about inner strength and the ability to refuse to things that go against your own principles, contradict your identity. Confidence has a lot to do with your circles of identity, who I am. The more a child knows which tribe they're a part of, the more confident they will be. So it's kind of like, imagine a circle, and then the circle is surrounded by circles. So how strong is my family structure? That will give me confidence. How strong is my community, my immediate community? That will also give me confidence. How strong is my Jewish identity or my religious identity? So all of those circles are sort of like creating this effect of inner confidence, the sense that I know who I am. I will not be fluctuated or fooled by false promises from the outside or trends. In a sense, I think a leader can be inconfident. Someone that has a very outgoing personality, that can be an overcompensation of just non-confident. We all know this child that is, you know, screaming in class and they're making the biggest mess, but they're also the least confident on the inside. So they're creating this persona of the leader, even though as a compensating mechanism. So it's not necessarily leader versus follower, but it's definitely someone that knows where they're heading versus someone that just has no idea. And if someone calls them, now there's a trend, everybody has to whatever, jump off the roof, or everybody's speaking in another language. I'm going to go there because that's where my favorite human being is going. So I'm going to go there. Versus a kid that has this confidence, has this grounded feeling of this is my identity. I will not be fooled by them. I don't believe them. This is where I'm going. Okay. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is open-mindedness. Open mind. In short, it's the ability to say yes to new experiences. So it's anything from trying new food. Oh, I made you this delicious broccoli patty. Yes, please, I'll give it a go because I don't know what it tastes like, so I'm curious. Versus, I will never try it ever, in, like not in a million years. So open-mindedness or open mindset is a child that has the capability to say yes to things out of a place of trust in you. So if you will offer them that opportunity, they will say yes. Okay? Open-mindedness also stands for not being really scared of a challenge, welcoming challenges out of a place of belief in myself and maybe a little bit of confidence as well. So we're going to talk about open-mindedness. How do we expand our kids' ability to say yes to things that they've never tried before. Okay, the next thing is a critical thinker. Okay, I hope you like my drawings, and they kind of like hit the spot with this thing. So critical thinkers. Critical thinkers. A critical thinker is someone that knows reality doesn't just have to be the way that it is. Someone that has the ability to ask questions. Why is it like that? Does it have to be like that? What can I do to change it? Who decided that this is the way things are? And critical thinking can never be on the expense of trust in parents. So I'm not asking those questions because I don't trust you, Mom. I'm asking those questions because I have been exposed to the way the real world works. And I know that some people are trying to manipulate me. And I know that some people I have different goals to them. And I know that maybe sometimes things don't have to be the way they are. So for example, if I have my group of friends, my group of peers, and everyone's deciding that now we're going to go to a party and this is what we're going to do at this party, I have the ability to ask, wait, is this really the only thing that we have is this the way that it has to do? Why? Who decided? It was John that decided it. Well, why did John decide this? Maybe I shouldn't listen. Maybe I should offer an alternative. Maybe this party could have a different ending if I propose it. So critical thinker is the opposite of someone that just says, this is the way that it is. Reality is, that's the way that it is. In the Hebrew, we say, kach hazeh, en ma lasot. That's the way that it is. Critical thinker is the opposite. He says, this is not the way that it is. It could be different, okay? So critical thinking. And we're going to talk about this age appropriately, right? Because critical thinking at the age of 4 and 5 are not the same as 15, 16. We're not talking about the ability to question politics or economy or to choose your political identity based on judgment of political leaders. We're talking about the ability to kind of like understand that in the world there are bad forces and good forces, and not necessarily everything is just the way that it is. There are alternative endings maybe to a story. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is practical. In short, a practical child is a child that can prioritize and can tell the difference between need and want. Okay, so that's a practical child. It's very important. The more practical your child is, the easier it is for you as parents. Just try to think about the amount of times that your child lost their patience because of something that they wanted, but they didn't really need. Okay, so this is a hard one to get right, and we have pretty much until they start developing their ability to process their own thinking at the age of 8 or 25. Yeah, sometimes we get that wrong as well. Maybe we should blame our parents for this one. But we have about until the age of 8 to get this one right. Beyond that, kids sort of like get hooked on, this is what I want. I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this. And this becomes really sort of like a trait of our personality that we get outraged if we don't get it. Okay, so practical thinker is someone that wouldn't be fooled by a bad deal, right? 1 for 5, 2 for 10, take it now. Oh my God, such a great deal. I'm going to just take it. So a practical thinker is someone that recognizes a good deal from a bad one, and someone that can prioritize, someone that can separate needs and want, right? Someone that will always put high value above low value, right? Practicality. We're thinking about, sometimes our paradigm thinks about it in terms of economic thinking, but it goes a long way in social understanding, our child's ability to negotiate their personality with us. It goes a long way in school. Practical thinking is, we can find it literally everywhere in life. If we have it in our toolkit, we're going to start seeing it everywhere. Okay? The last two. Safety. Oh, because it's a safe. I love that. No, this is problem solving. Problem solver. Yes. Critical thinking is a paradigm. It's the way your brain works when it looks at reality. Problem solving is kind of like task management. So you see this safe. What do you tell yourself when you see an obstacle? Or in the metaphor, what do you tell yourself when you see a safe? Do you tell yourself, I don't have the code, so I can't open it? Or do you tell yourself, maybe there's a really cool, funky way that I can get this to open because there's a treasure inside. I want the treasure. I'm willing to put in the effort. I trust my brain. All I have to do is figure out the really cool, funky way to open it up. Okay? Problem solvers look at a challenge as if it's a cool game. It's also a little bit of a paradigm, but it's kind of like shifting your effort into the task. It's kind of like project management, the way that you see a project. Focused thinking. So are you willing to give it a try? Are you willing to think outside of the box? How flexible are you in your mind? Kind of like to be able to try out new opportunities. Are you willing to learn new things in order to solve that problem? Are you relying on yourself, or are you going to go to mom and mom's going to solve the problem for you? Okay, so what's your arsenal of tools when you're facing a problem? In other words, how are you going to get the gold nuggets that are inside the safe? And then last but not least is emotional stability. If you've ever experienced a tantrum at the age of 2 or 3, you know what emotional stability is and isn't, and just how important it can be. Emotionally stable. So what is emotional stability? It's when a child doesn't need to earn your respect by causing drama. Okay? So they want to get a lolly right now. What did they do? Do they come to you and they put on this whole show of, it's like suffrage, like I need this lolly right now, and they're crying and they're portraying excessive emotions to get your attention? Or is it a kid that comes to you and say, Mom, I haven't had a lolly in a week. You said that I can have one sweet every week. Can I have a lolly right now? Emotional stability. It's a child that even when they're scared or upset or distressed, if they're feeling something very strong, they still have their brains above their hearts, so they can navigate through their emotions logically. So they can come to you and they can tell you, instead of just like crying or throwing themselves flat on the floor, they can come to you and they can tell you, Mom, this is very scary. I want to tell you what happened to me today. And they would have their brain on top of their hearts, which means they're going to be able to name the emotion that they're feeling. Okay? If you can name the emotions that you're feeling, it's quite often more than one emotion. So a fear that is loaded with hatred and distress is different from a fear that is loaded with sadness and loneliness. It's not the same fear. It's two different fears. So this is angry fear and this is lonely fear, but they're both fear. Do you know the difference between the two of them? Are you well familiar with your own emotions to sort of like spot that range? If you are, that means that you have more tools to operate your cognitive system over your emotional system, and you can navigate your own emotional storm. Okay, so that stands for stability. I covered that excessively last time. The ability to name your own emotions. Okay, so those 8: adaptability, patience, confidence, open-mindedness, critical thinking, practicality, problem solving, and emotional stability. Now, there's 2 things that we need to ask ourselves versus every single one of these things, because they kind of like they overlap sometimes, right? So we're going to see confidence in problem solving. And we're going to see emotional stability in adaptability and patience. We're also going to be patience. We're going to see patience in problem solving. They overlap, but the reason why we're separating them and we're naming every single one of them and we're defining them differently is just for us to sort of like be able to organize that toolkit that we need. But in reality, you know that they overlap and sometimes they're the same. Sometimes we're going to see our child demonstrate patience and adaptability. Sometimes we're going to see them express problem solving whilst also showing their resilience in certain circumstances. Okay, so that's in reality. There's two things that we need to ask ourselves against every single one of them. Number one is, how do we do that? Like, what do we have to offer our kids? Like, what tools, what behaviors, what rewards can we offer them? And the second question, which is the long-term question, who do I have to be as a parent? Like, what kind of parent do I have to be to create the right environment for my child to become this in? Okay, so we're going to ask this question now, these questions. Number one, what do we need to do? Number two, who do we have to be? Okay, so let's start with adaptability. I'm going to change colors for this one. Let's start with adaptability. We're going to talk about a few things that we can offer. So the number one thing that we can do to help our child to grow more adaptive. By the way, if you have any questions or anything you want to say, please pop up. Like, it's a small crowd. We can afford to some disruptions. The first thing we're going to offer to a child to be more adaptable is this wonderful thing called allo parenting. Okay, allo parents is different adult figures in our child's lives that we trust, that we think are good educational figures, and we trust their educational style. The reason why we do that is because by the time the child is 12 years old, one of the main ways that they learn how to behave is by seeing other people behave. When grown-ups model behavior to them. So that's the main way that our children learn how to interact and how to behave, is by imitating us. The more grown-ups they have in their lives, the more options of behavior they have. Okay, so in different circumstances, maybe they're going to want to imitate or practice or demonstrate their karate coaches, right? If they're going to karate, they have their coach. He's a very strong character. He demonstrates control at all times. Maybe that's going to come in handy at some areas in life. So we want them to have that. Okay, their Hebrew instructor in UJEB, she's this really cool, funky, colorful, bubbly personality. Maybe that's going to come in handy when we have an awkward social situation that we need to solve. So I'm gonna kind of like behave like her. Okay, so we want to offer our kids as many meaningful adult characters as possible. So who could that be? It could be grandparents, uncles and aunties, reliable neighbors, other parents in our community that we interact with, and they interact to our kids. It could also be teachers, UJEB, facilitators, instructors of extracurricular activities. Their swimming instructor. It can be a really carefully chosen babysitter. It could also be friends of older siblings. Okay, if you invite them to your home and they demonstrate this behavior, your child is going to be immediately attracted to seeing how older kids behave, and they're going to start imitating them soon enough. Okay, so you need to make sure that you carefully choose who your kids are hanging out with, not just for your older kids, but also for your younger kids. Okay, so we want to present them with as many possibilities as possible. A lot of parents are not huge fans of television. I think that if we also carefully choose TV shows that have characters that we trust their behavior, like Bluey is a really good role model for my daughter, at least. If we choose TV content based on this question of adaptability, like let's give our kid a lot of options, we can also turn TV into kind of like this allo parent as well, because kids see television characters, they feel and they resonate television characters the same way they do real life grown-ups. They get attached, they get familiarized, they're comfortable with, they imitate, they speak like. My daughter was watching Peppa Pig when she was 3 years old. She had a British accent for a full year. And she called me, Mommy, even though she was born in Israel. That's weird. So allo parenting is a very powerful tool that we really have to be mindful of. How much time are they spending with other people that are not us, okay? And the second thing that we're gonna do is we're going to expose our kids to different circumstances, and we're going to highlight and define for them what are the attributes that we are looking for we're expecting of them in this situation. Okay, so, okay, Ariel, we are flying to Israel. It's going to be a bit hard on the plane, so I'm expecting of you to have a lot of patience on the plane. And you're going to need to speak a little bit more quietly because we don't scream on the plane. So I want my child to be adaptable to the new situation. So I'm going to highlight and I'm going to name what is expected of them in that situation. So it's kind of like a preparation that we're going to give to our kid towards an unknown. For them, it's unknown. For them, you know, going on a plane, flying to a different country can be very overwhelming. So we're going to highlight and name desired new properties, new traits. Normally, your kid is very loud and very bubbly. Now they're expected to adapt to the situation and be a little bit more restrained. Okay, so how can we do that? We can also ask them, what will help you to stay calm on the plane? Or if we're gonna go to this camping trip, we're gonna go to this, whatever, what will help you to stay close to me and not wander off? Because I'm very concerned that you're gonna wander off. Do you want a book? Do you want a toy? Do you want, let's choose these together. And creating this mental preparation in which we highlight what is expected of a child can go a long way for kids in unknown circumstances. Okay, so allo parents and highlight desired new traits. Okay. So that's as far as the adaptability. Let's move on to patience. What are some things that we can do to promote patience? Again, patience is not patience, I will get you the cake in a second, so you have to wait for 2 minutes. Patience is about the ability to see hard work as something that can be rewarding in the future, and it's about the ability to postpone gratification. So that means you're not going to enjoy right this very second. Maybe it's going to take an hour, maybe it's going to take a day. Do you know the marshmallow test? Yeah. There you go. That's it. Postponing gratification for the purpose of future reward. Okay? So there's a few things that we can do with our kids to promote patience, that type of patience. Number one is planning a project. So it can be anything that you are good at and you can execute with your long-term thinking. It could be a treehouse, and it could be like a thing that you're building together, or an accent wall to the house where you sort of like choose together the things that you're doing. It could be remodeling your bedroom, like the kids' bedroom. It could be training your dog, right? So anything that you have to work hard in the present, and only in a few months and a few weeks from now, you'll see reward. Planting a garden is very much of that. Putting tomatoes in the soil and seeing them grow and then picking them and eating them. Oh my God, how amazing is that? What a great feeling. But it could also be something that is the kids' passion. Learning how to play an instrument is very much like that, because you have to practice forever. And then at one point, you're standing up on a stage and you're playing music, and it's the best feeling in the world. It could also be a sports that you're working really hard, and then one day there's a competition and you win. Okay, so all of these things are excellent opportunities for us as parents to present our children with a long-term planning thing. Okay, another thing that you can do with your kids is sort of like a shift in paradigm for us as parents. Is we're currently living in an era where we're getting a lot of hits of dopamine. I'm assuming you know what it is, right? It's like my phone goes ping. I can't not, it's painful not to look at the ping. I have to watch it right now. I can't wait. So we have to go through this paradigm shift as parents, swapping from dopamine to oxytocin. Okay, so dopamine is the kind of like, it's like a drug, right? But it's the hormone of immediate gratification. It's the same hormone that works in our brain when we lift up our phone to check the ping. It's the same one that works in our brain when we do cocaine or drink fizzy, sugary drinks. It's kind of like this immediate gratification thing. I need this right now. It's the same with sugar, right? It hits the brain in the same spot. Cigarettes, that moment, that's dopamine as well. So dopamine can be very, very, very addictive, but it can also really sort of like rewire our child's brain. Kids that get hooked on dopamine are going to really struggle to readapt themselves into oxytocin. So what is oxytocin? Oxytocin is the hormone of long-term relationship, the hormone of love, the hormone of attachment. We have to earn oxytocin through a longer period of time. Famously, you get a huge dose of oxytocin when you give birth, right? This is the hormone that helps you release your milk. This is the hormone that kind of like, I have to hug my child right now. Like I have to touch my child. It's the hormones that's being released when we get a hug from someone that we love. Okay, that's the long-term attachment, love, happiness hormone. Okay, so sort of like we as parents doing that shift from dopamine, I have to get it right now, to oxytocin, I'm going to earn it over a long period of time. Okay, so dopamine to oxytocin. And projects, project planning. Pardon my handwriting. So these are two things that we can apply. And again, it has to be in your toolkit all the time. And you sort of have to be aware of the fact that your child is about to get a hit of dopamine. And maybe there's something that you can do to maybe prefer a dose of oxytocin instead. So let's not play that video game that does ping, 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 and the balls go. Instead, let's go and do some gardening. Or you only get a limited amount of dopamine per day. So you're only allowed to play this pingy computer game half an hour every day. Okay? If your child has the capability of planning a long-term project, sit down with them. Sit down and make a plan with them. What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do? How are we going to manage the budget? What are we going to do in a week? What are we going to do in a month? And if you have that in you to plan a project together with your children, oh my God, it's going to be unbelievable. It's true for education as well. It's true for school systems as well. Project-based learning is an unbelievably efficient way of both teaching the kids the topic, acquiring soft skills and other skills, acquiring problem-solving skills, but also their long-term planning and their patience. Okay? All right, let's talk a little bit about confidence. So taking us back for a second on this whole hormone situation, there is this crazy beautiful thing that we talk about in endocrinology, like how hormones affect our psychology, that is called SODA, S-O-D-A. Have you ever heard of it? SODA. All right. S-O-D-A. All right. So a SODA is a cocktail of 4 hormones that are all rushing and gushing in our body all at the same time. So we have serotonin, which is the hormone of kind of like peaceful, calm, happy love, kind of self-content, right? We have oxytocin, long-term attachment and love and happiness. We have dopamine, which is immediate gratification in the sense that I've accomplished something and I want more of this. And A goes for endorphins, which is high energy, kind of like what we feel after we do a run and we come back home and we feel kind of like really good, energized, proud of ourselves. Serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins. Serotonin is kind of like this calm, I mean, like when you're cuddling the man you love, it's just like, So serotonin is kind of like soft, slow energy, but also happiness, gratification, thankfulness, maybe. It's a good hormone. So there's only few opportunities in life that we actually get the full SODA. I'm going to describe a few of those right now. The moment you give birth, after carrying this thing for ages and being in the delivery room, and like just a second after you gave birth, the moment you held the baby, you get this flush of amazing hormones and you feel amazing and there's no pain. You don't feel the pain anymore. You just feel this high of excitement and self-gratification and pride. So that's good SODA. If you are presented with an award for your effort, okay, imagine with me this moment where they're calling your name to come from the audience and you're standing up and everyone's cheering for you and you've earned it. You know you have. You've worked hard for it. That's a pure SODA moment, like an Oscar. And the Oscar goes to Rebecca. Woo! Applause. That's a beautiful SODA moment. Okay, another one is winning a competition. If you run and you've been practicing all this time and you run, and you just make it first, just a millisecond in front of that person behind you, and you have this, yes, I did it. It's like pure SODA. Okay. Serotonin and endorphins. Yeah. High energy, and this is soft energy. Serotonin is secreted also when we feel gratitude. So this, oh gosh, yes, thank you. And it's also this, if you're, let's say you're finishing the race and your heart is still pumping full of endorphins because you've been working out and you feel proud of yourself, but you're also thankful for even the opportunity and the context, and thank God that there's people here that could see me. Because if you're just running by yourself and no one else sees you, you're just getting that endorphin, but you're not getting the serotonin. So the serotonin is that context of thank you for this beautiful moment. And it could be, yeah, it could be like this, oh, thank God that it worked out the way that it did. Okay. SODA, you can Google it. You're going to see a million videos and a million content units about SODA. But we want this for our children. We want to give this to them. Once a child gets a real dose of SODA, not a pretend one, not a, oh my God, your drawing is so beautiful, I have to put it up on the refrigerator. Okay, let me make 10 more that are just as bad, and let me just give it to you, and you'll put it. Your child really earned it, and they get a real thing of SODA. That goes a long way with confidence, because they have just learned a very valuable lesson in life. In fact, getting the first hit of SODA changes your wiring. You are now wired to want to work hard for the next time to get that beautiful hit of soda. Okay? So if your child wins a competition, if you help someone else, genuinely help them, not, throw bread to a duck. Oh, thank you for feeding the duck. But really, there's someone in distress. And my daughter goes and she asks them, are you okay? Do you need help? I'm going to call someone. You go and you call someone and you actually save the day. You get that hit of soda. You're the hero. You're the champion of the situation. It feels amazing. It feels unbelievable. It goes a long way with a child. And that child will now be wired to pursue that behavior again. Yes?
The teacher calls the child like a superstar in front of the other students.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it happened to my daughter. She said her teacher was kind of like, kids, and my daughter didn't know that it was going to happen. She said, kids, I want to tell you about something that happened today. Something happened today. There was a child outside that grazed their knee and there was no grown-ups around. And a lot of kids just kind of like overlooked because they didn't think that it was their business, but that kid was bleeding and they were in a lot of pain. And there's one person that stepped up and helped that child. She asked them if they're okay. She asked them if they needed some water, and she went to get an adult and she stood by this kid. And that little girl is Erez Lipson. I want you to all give her a big round of applause. Oh my God. And she's 6 years old. She's just like unbelievable moment for her. She spoke about this for a week after that. You can feel it, can't you? You feel it in your heart. You feel it all over your body. It makes you kind of like want to do a little jig. Like, it feels really good. We want that for our kids, but we want them to really earn it. Okay, we don't want to just give it to them. So we really want to look for the opportunities to give it to them in fair terms. Okay, so we want to present them with the opportunity of helping someone that in need. It could be their little sibling. It could be you. Like, I really need your help right now. Thank you for helping me, but it has to be earned. It could be in a sports game. It could be them winning a ballet competition. It could be them finishing that project that we were working on when we were doing patience. Okay, so it has to be hard earned. Once you get that hit of soda, you literally change the wiring of your child's brain. Okay, and they will sort of like the reward will be so gratifying and so beautiful, and your child will continue to seek that. So that's the first thing about confidence, is we need to give them little victories. We need to give them that opportunity to win one in order to, so like think about the way computer games are built. You know how stage 1 is very short and very like, yes, I won. And then the second, stage 2 is a little bit longer. And then you'll win here. Stage 3 is this much longer, and you'll win here. Stage 4 is, and the game is literally building your confidence that eventually you will win. A lot of computer games are built like that, and like the difficulty level goes up. Okay. We need that in life as well. We need to give our kids little victories, and then the next one, we need to make it harder. The next one, we need to make it harder. Next one, we need to make it harder. Okay, an increased level of difficulty for them. So 2 more things about confidence. The second thing we're going to talk about in confidence is ask their opinion about something. Okay, so ask for their opinion. Okay, so it's a general rule in parenting that the way we treat our children as if they are X, they will become X. Okay, so we know that from it's called, there's this aspect called the Pygmalion effect. If we treat our child as if they're the most brilliant, the most creative, the most hardworking creature, they will more likely to reach that. And if we treat our kids as if they are slow learners, crazy, violent, should be pushed away from other kids, that behavior will be increased. There's a term in psychology called learned helplessness. So imagine this experiment. Let's say that I'm giving all of you a piece of paper and it has scrambled words in it, and you're not getting the same word. So you're getting the word, like, let's say bat, okay, B-A-T. And I'm asking you to scramble it until a new word appears. What would the outcome be? It will be tab, right? I'm getting the same word to you, but your word is encyclopedia, and you have to scramble it until you find your. It's going to be a lot harder, right? And then I'm giving both of you a second word. And the second word is I don't know, I'm trying to think of something like America or something. You are going to be more likely to be able to solve the second word than you, okay? Because you've already experienced failure. You are expecting your next failure. You have experienced victory, and you are expecting your next victory, okay? So learned helplessness is a real thing. They use it in prisons, okay? They use it in the circus to teach animals to not attack humans, because they will experience pain once they do. Okay, so learned helplessness it goes a long way. Sometimes we do that without even noticing. We do that to our kids. We're expecting them to fail. They're expecting of themselves to fail. So what we need to do is boost up their confidence by presenting them with some victories. So asking their opinion teaches them that their opinion matters. From that moment on, they would expect for their opinion to matter in other areas in life, okay? So what could it be? It could be, oh, I really need your help. I need to decide like which shirt I need to wear today, because this one is really pretty, but this one is so comfortable. And I don't know if I want to look presentable or be very comfortable. What do you think? Here's what you do. What's that? Fashion consultant. It could also be, oh my God, I don't know what to make for dinner tonight. Can you please help me? Tell me, what do you think we should make for, because we have pasta. Pasta is easy, but if we make a salad, it's going to be healthier. So what do we go for, healthy or easy? Here's what you do. No matter what your child chooses between the options that you present to them, you say, okay, we're going to give it a try. And then afterwards, you come back to them and you tell them, do you know what? Your choice was so good. I chose this green shirt and it was so comfortable. I felt comfortable all day long, and I cannot thank you enough for making that choice. I'm going to ask you next time as well. Okay? We made the pasta. Oh my God, how good was pasta? I'm so happy we didn't go for silly salad. I'm so happy we went for this delicious, filling, warm pasta. That was a great choice. Yes, good job. Okay? So this is kind of like a little victory that we're giving them, boosts up their confidence, but it also teaches them this great lesson that from now on, they will be expecting their opinion to matter, okay? We need to sort of like integrate this into our everyday as often as possible. What's that?
Then they want it all the time.
They're going to want to express their opinion?
Do it all the time, everything. And it's not that.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. Decisions that you're presenting your kids, you choose the two options. So you don't tell your daughter, can you please get into my closet and give me something? You tell her this one or this one, and these two have to be stuff that you're comfortable with. Because what we're doing here is not really getting her opinion on fashion, is educating her. That's what we're doing, okay? It could also be, if they're very little, it could be like 3-year-old, 2-year-old, very insignificant things like, which color texture should I use to write the title in today's class? Or which color are we going to paint our bee with? What do you think? Which color should we use for this and this? Like, it could be very tiny little things. And then next year, you're going to ask her, what park are we going to go to do the picnic? And then the year after, you're going to ask her more important questions. And then the year after, you're going to ask more important questions. You're building it up. And then when they're 6 or 7, and they're already feeling this confidence in themselves, you're going to ask them, well, we have $100 and we need to eat dinner. Where are we going to go? And you are going to say yes to whatever they decide. Challenging. Yeah. Right. So taking us back to hormones, they are going to learn the hard way by getting a dose of cortisol, the bad hormone. This is the hormone that kind of like buzzes in your brain. Burr, burr, burr. You got it wrong. So if the child says something to the teacher and it's rude, it's arrogant, and they're wrong, they're going to learn about it soon enough, and they're going to get a hit of cortisol, and it's going to be this shameful experience. And then they're going to run back to you, and then you're going to have to educate that situation. And it's going to be acknowledging the fact that they're feeling embarrassed and validating that, but also telling them, do you think you're going to do that again? Do you think that you're going to, what made you say that? Did you feel you were so sure that you were right, that you just had to say it out loud? Oh, I get it. I do that sometimes as well. We need to think about what to do, because I would hate for that to happen to you again. And then we kind of like speak out loud what emotions it made us feel. We name our emotions, right? Because we want to put our brains above our hearts. So we need to name the emotions that we're feeling. And we're kind of like problem solving out loud. But yeah, it comes from the same world of how do our emotions change the person that we are. All right, so we want to give them a hit of soda. We want to ask for their opinion. We want to boost up their confidence. Let's move on to open mind. How long do I have? What? 9 minutes? Until 9? Oh, geez, we don't have enough time. We're gonna just run through this. All right, open-mindedness. Have anyone here seen the Bluey episode? Gosh, Bluey, you can learn everything about parenting from Bluey. The Bluey episode where Bingo gets a yes/no button, and she doesn't want to speak, but she presses the yes button for yes and the no button for no. Okay, so yes, we're gonna work through a principle called yes and less. Dot, dot, dot. Okay, so imagine your child in their toolkit has 2 buttons that they can press. One button is a hard yes. Yes, let's do it. I would love to do it. That sounds amazing. And the other one is no. And the no is, nah, I don't want to give it a try. I don't. This is uncomfortable for me. Like, this pushes my boundaries. I don't want to try it. So this yes and no buttons, your kids press them all the time. Either when you offer them a new food to try, or, oh, do you want to do this thing with me? Do you want to go ride a bicycle at the park? Do you want to go and meet a new friend because I set up a play date for you? Do you want us to sit down and do homework together, right? So everything that is a do you want to, your kids can either press the yes or the no button, okay? Our aspiration as parents is for them to always say yes, unless what? Unless it pushes their boundaries, the boundaries of the sanctity of their body, their feeling of safety, their feeling of comfort, okay? So we really want to keep expanding the options for yes. We want to push them outside of their comfort zone. We want to give them buzz. We want to push them outside of their comfort zone. We want to expand their ability to say yes to things, especially if they are more susceptible of saying no out of a place of inconfidence, okay? So my son, for ages, he tried to ride a bicycle one time, he fell and he grazed his knee, And from that moment on, it took him 6 months before he said yes to bike again. He kept saying no. He kept pushing the no button. Okay, do you want to go and ride a bike? No, 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 no. Okay, what we want to do is we want to accept the fact that no exists, but we only want the no to symbolize a very specific sort of like frame of mind, and that no is I am protecting myself. Okay, so if your child has boundaries, if they're uncomfortable with that boy, or if they are uncomfortable swimming in a swimsuit in public, or if they're uncomfortable to do an activity that feels a bit dangerous to them, or if they feel emotionally unprepared, no is fine. But other than that, we really need to try to work on our kids being able to say yes. So what does it involve? Well, it means that sometimes we're going to have to sit down and have a little chat to our kids. We're going to ask them, what will help you to feel more comfortable? Okay, do you want us to maybe put a little bit of a ketchup on it? That way it tastes familiar. Do you want me to put a little bit of salt? Will that help you to taste that broccoli? What can I do for you to help you expand your option of saying yes? Tell you what, let's make a deal. If you eat 3 bites of this thing, we're going to read Green Eggs and Ham, which are talking about the ability to say yes to different foods. If you eat 3 bites of this thing, we're going to read your favorite book. Okay? But you have to, come on, I want you to give it a try. I want you to give it a try. It's something new. You've never tried it before. Come on and give it a try. We really need to work through it, not by pushing the kids, like pushing them outside of their comfort zone, but the opposite, pulling them towards an opportunity that they've never tried before. Presenting them with the opportunity that this is going to be fun, exciting, new thing that they are now going to try. Like, I'm going to give you a treat if you do this.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't come from inside.
Yeah. So let me give you sort of like 2 scenarios of yes and no to this, okay? So if you are telling the kid, well, if you eat this thing, I'm going to give you a dessert. And if you don't eat it, you're not going to get a dessert. That is sort of like 1940s educating the behavior. If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. You have to have your meat if you want to get any pudding. Like, you know, very old school. This is behaviorism. We don't believe in behaviorism. It's an obsolete theory. We don't educate the behavior. We educate the mind. We educate the resilience. We educate the confidence. This is what we're nurturing. What's going to happen if you offer pudding in exchange for meat? The kid gets the message that the meat is the terrible, horrible price they have to pay for the reward that is the pudding, which in reality, meat is protein and it's good for you, and pudding is terrible for you and it's full of sugar. Okay? The kid is not getting this message. So getting message scrambled up, that's a no. We don't do that. Okay? When are we doing it? If you're giving the child the message, look, I am your mother and I love you. I really want you to do the healthy thing. Do you want me to explain to you about protein? This is good protein. It's going to build up your muscles. It's going to make you stronger. Forget about the pudding for a second, because the pudding is just, you know, something we like to do that after the meal. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't, but this is just sugar. But I do want you to give it a try. Okay? So what will make it easier for you to give it a try? Oh, okay. Do you want me to, if you try, then I'm going to know that you're an open-minded kid, that you said yes, and then you get to choose tonight's book, or you get to choose the video that you want to watch tonight, okay? So do you see the difference? If I'm walking my child through understanding why I'm forcing them to eat the meat, because it's healthy, because it's protein, I'm adding knowledge, I'm putting it into context, it's healthy for you. I'm not just doing it just because the rule is that you have to eat your meat before you eat your pudding, and that's it. Okay, this isn't behaviorism. I'm educating his knowledge. I'm enriching his capability of perceiving the context. The context is we're having a meal. A meal has to consist of protein, but I'm also telling him this one time, I'm happy to help you because I can see that it's a bit hard for you, okay? I'm validating their emotions. So the whole fiasco of just saying yes to something turns into this beautifully educational experience and an opportunity of building a bridge of trust between you and them, okay? Not meat versus pudding, which is the opposite of all of that. We just spoke about, right? You and me, we were just talking about how our parents brought us up in this meat equals pudding equation, and we kind of like had to eat things that are absolutely disgusting only to realize that the pudding is just like gone too quickly. It's just like, I don't want to do this deal ever again. All right. Yes and less, okay? So we want the kids to say yes unless it breaches their personal boundaries, their feeling of safety. We're going to move on to critical thinking. So critical thinking, I'm going to say something that is quite unpopular opinion. I think that we should be more willing to expose our children to real life events. Okay? So I'm not saying let's sit down and watch the news with them or let them scroll through Facebook and watch horror movies from the war. But I am saying think of yourselves as kind of like the gatekeepers to your child's eyes and mind, and definitely allow some things to get through. So if there's a fire, I want to tell my kids that there's a fire happening and the fire department is, working on that. And maybe I will even show them like pictures of the fire department, like real life fireman Sam putting out the fire. Okay. If there's been a burglary, maybe I'm going to tell them, oh, there's a thief and he stole a car and whatever. So exposing kids to real life events does two things in particular. Number one, it does something incredible to your resilience, which is it breaks the illusion of safety. We all have it. We all think that everything is fine at the moment, and it's going to be fine forever and ever. And it's an illusion. We all know also that it's an illusion because we went through COVID and we lost loved ones, and we are now seeing war. So it helps kind of like to bring up a child that isn't scared of real life events. Okay. On the other hand, you as the gatekeeper also has the role of letting reality in, but also keeping toxicity out. Okay. So we have to be very responsible and very mindful on what we tell our kids. When do we tell it to our kids? Which words do we use? Do we reassure them that everything's going to be fine? Do we sugarcoat? Do we manipulate it? Or do we just bring in reality? Leave the toxicity out, the toxic stuff, like the gruesome death, gore, blood. We leave that out, but we do let reality in for a little bit, and we trust them to grow from that knowledge. Okay? So exposing your kids to real life events may be telling them that another kid in school is sick, and sometimes kids break their legs, and sometimes that kid fell off of his bike and he needs to get stitches, and exposing them to these things in addition to exposing them to real life events. There's just been an earthquake in Japan. Okay, my brother-in-law was in Japan at the time, and we asked him, oh, how was that for you? Let's see some videos of everything like shaking. What is an earthquake? Let's take a look at it. Going through the process of sense making on what is an earthquake, what happens in the Earth's core, like how does it happen that Japan starts to shake? Will it ever happen to us? What do we do if there's an earthquake? Where do we go? Where do we run? Okay. So all of these things is promoting the kids' ability to critically think about reality because they're now exposed to the fact that there are options. Maybe there's going to be an earthquake. Maybe there's going to be war. Maybe there's going to be a thief, and there's going to be a bad guy, and we're going to have to call the police. Okay?
Robbers, or the monk, like the idea of robbers and people coming into the house. That was like
Yeah.
the two robbers coming into the house, like, I was like, is this a bad idea? Because I thought they wanted to be like pretty or gay.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, like, you want to kind of break that here. So it's like, it was so like, we talked about it a lot. Like, will robbers come into my house? Do robbers really exist?
Yes. And then what did you do?
I don't know. I just didn't really think it was a big deal. I was like, oh, yeah, it's a movie. But it kept coming up, and I was like, I didn't see how bad, like, how impactful it was.
Okay, so here's what I'm hearing from your story. Your kids saw a movie and it really hit them. It really resonated with them. They started to feel things that they've never felt before, because this is the first time they're truly opened up, now visually even, to the option of a stranger invading their space. Okay, now what's your job in this scenario? Your job is to sit them down, look at them in the eyes, and to tell them, wow, I can tell that this movie has really impacted you. And you have to validate their emotions, and you have to prove to them that you understand what they're going through. And that reassures them, that anchors them down. That's the first part. I can tell that you're scared. Did it really, what was the worst part? I thought the scariest part was when he was walking into the playroom and stepping on the Legos. Like, that was the scariest part for me. What was yours? What do you remember the most? Do you find yourself thinking about it? Sense make, okay? Sit down with them, look at them in the eyes, maybe hold their hands and talk to them about it. You do this, because right now they're in here and there's a storm going on over here. You literally take them hand by hand and you put the brain above the heart. You activate your cognitive system above your emotional system. After you do that, you do kind of like a reassurance session. Look, as far as we know, no one is in this community is going to hurt us, okay? We lock the door at night, we have the police, you have daddy and I, we're gonna keep you safe. But I have to tell you, those people really exist. Like, they're not close to us. Thank God we're not living in a dangerous neighborhood, but that exists in real life, okay? But you're saying that, you don't say that kind of like out of like this in confidence, shaky place. You're saying this with confidence. There's things in this world that are scary, and I'm going to want you to be careful when you grow up. So that's what you tell your kids after they watch Home Alone. You take them through this process of, I understand what you're going through. I'm building a bridge of trust between me and you. I acknowledge your emotions and I'm validating them. Having said that, and we're safe, right? I can promise you that. Having said that, in reality, there's bad people, and I want you to know to tell the difference between good and bad people, okay? So that promotes not just acknowledgement that reality does exist, it also promotes confidence and the ability to start to critically think about other people. Okay, if bad people exist, maybe this stranger is a bad person. So maybe I should ask myself questions whether or not I should accept the lolly that he's offering me. Maybe I should ask my mom if that's okay. Okay, the older the kids are, sorry, but especially girls, okay? The older they are, the more critically they're going to have to be towards other people, the less naive they're going to have to be about strangers and other people, and the more kind of like exposed to reality they're going to have to be. And this is us. We are the gatekeepers. Okay, we are the membrane surrounding our child, enabling reality to go through responsibly, but keeping the scary stuff out. So watching Home Alone, it's actually brilliant because it's kind of like has this effect of estrangement. This isn't us. This isn't happening in reality. In reality, we are safe. At the same time, it exposes your child to the option of that bad people exist. Okay, unpopular, I know, and a lot of people, especially in Australia and Israel, we do that all the time. In Australia, not so much, but unbelievably important to bring up a kid that is in touch with reality, is to expose them to reality. And it's scary.
Israel, mom used to always like tell me about benefits. And
Yeah.
when I was like 13, I was on a taxi with like the taxi driver, and he wanted to go and pick up another friend of him, and I was like all the alerts.
Right, because you knew already.
Like I was
right.
like thinking about the worst scenario.
Yeah.
Ran away. Doesn't matter if it would be true or not.
Yeah.
but I knew I have to be more cautious.
Thank you. Good example. Especially like if you're bringing up a girl, you're going to have to start talking to her about reality as early as 8, 9. And that's rough. No, there's no sugarcoating it. It's tough. It really is. So critical thinking. We basically, another thing that we can do that is kind of like a nicer activity and more fun maybe, is if we read them a story, if we read them a book, we can ask them what could be an alternate ending. If then, if the character did this, then what would happen? Okay, so exploring different endings, exploring different options helps your child to have this glorious shift in paradigm that different actions result in different, outcomes. Okay, so critical thinking, different endings. Different endings and exposure to reality. Okay. Practicality. Okay, so the first thing about practicality is, remember, practical is someone that can prioritize, maybe tell the difference between need and want. Here's a trick that we do from the world of parental mentoring. It has unbelievable success rates with kids up until the age of 6. So let's say you're in a crisis with your child. Your child desperately wants ice cream right now, and there are full-blown tantrum on the floor, and there's no talking them out of it, and you cannot convince them for your life that it's now time to get in the car and go visit grandma. It's not going to work. Okay, so a little exercise that really works well if you do it properly is you settle your child for a second and then find the opportunity to look at them in the eyes. First thing you always do is validate their emotions. I understand that you really want this ice cream. You must be very disappointed. Okay, you name their emotions because you're doing this. You're putting your brain above your hearts, and you're helping them to navigate their emotional storm. That is always the first step. Okay, navigating through the storm of emotions, proving to them that you know what they're going through, building a bridge of trust between parent and child. I know what you're going through. You must be very frustrated. Wow, I bet you could already feel the taste of chocolate ice cream in your mouth. Tell you what, I would love to have an ice cream right now as well. So I totally get what you're going through. That is step number 1. Step number 2, and now we're educating their practicality, is we are holding out 2 hands. And on these 2 hands, we're putting 2 options. One of them is a really bad option, and one of them is a really good option. Okay? So the bad option could be, look, we probably could get an ice cream right now, and we're going to have to finish eating outside of the car because we can't eat it in the car. We're going to be late for Nana. Nana's going to be really sad. It's going to cost us a lot of money, and we're going to be very dirty. Your tummy's going to hurt. You're not going to be able to eat dinner because Nana made a beautiful dinner for us, and she's going to be really sad. We probably could do that. The other option is for you to prove to me how strong you are, and you're going to say to me, do you know what, Mom, we can wait with the ice cream to another time. We're going to go to Nana, give her the biggest hug, and not only are we going to eat Nana's food, but also she has dessert. It's amazing. So which one do you want? Do we really want to see Nana being really sad, or do we want to be the heroes of this moment and you can prove to me how strong you are? We're going to go to Nana and she's going to be really happy. It's your choice. You go for it. Okay? Sometimes your child will choose the ice cream. And it's just like, whatever, we're going to hurt Nana's feelings. If the child chooses the correct option, we reward them. Okay? How do we reward them? Not anything materialistic. We reward them with a tiny little dose of soda. Come here, give me a hug. I knew you would make the right choice. I can trust you. You're so smart. You knew that Nana's feelings are more important than enjoying an ice cream right now, didn't you? That's why you made this choice. Good. I'm so proud of you. And you should be proud of yourself as well. Let's go. And you know what? Let's pretend like you have a little voucher for ice cream. And next time you tell me that you want ice cream, I'm not going to say no. We're going to get a double scoop. Marshmallow test, patience, right? I'm going to double reward you next time. So that's if they choose this option. If they choose to hurt Nana's feelings and to, yes, have ice cream and for their stomach to be sore, there's two emotions that you have to demonstrate at this one. Number one is surprise, and the second is disappointment. So why surprise? Surprise because generally speaking, you're such a smart boy. You're so kind. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you would choose to let go of Nana's feelings, because you know how important it is to Nana that we get there in time and we eat her dinner. Not only we're going to be late, but now we're going to hurt Nana's feelings. I'm really surprised that this is what you choose. I'm also a little bit disappointed because I love Nana and I really want us to keep her feelings in a high priority. Okay? So you help the child to understand that they made a bad choice. Okay? So you have the really, really bad choice and you have the really, really good choice. If the bad choice is being made, we discourage it. It's not punishment, but it's sort of like we are helping our child to feel exactly what they should feel, which is bad feelings. Not, you should be ashamed of this. I'm so angry at you. You're always so selfish. You're thinking about yourself. We're not demonstrating anger. Okay? The only two things we're demonstrating is surprise and disappointment. And now the child have this, ooh, this feels kind of bad. Okay? So we're not educating the behavior. We're educating the, right, the mental, the psychology, the reflexes. We're educating the hormones, right? We're going deeper into the core of the child's personality. And if they still insist on that, then you have, as a parent, two options. Either you use this momentum that the child chose a bad thing as an opportunity to follow through with what you've said. So get him an ice cream, make sure he gets all dirty, don't clean him up, get to Nana's, apologize to her and say, oh, just Jaden had to have an ice cream. I'm so sorry. I know we hurt your feelings. I'm still hungry. I didn't have an ice cream, but Jaden might not be hungry. You either do that, follow through with the whole scenario, or you just tell Jaden, look, I'm sorry, but we don't have the time for this, and I don't want you to get dirty, and I don't have the money. Sorry, sorry for presenting you those two options, but I really think that we need to go to Nana's right now. And you just take Jaden, get into the car, and you work it out by talking to them later. Okay? So this two options thing, like as far as need and want and practicality and it sort of creates this this mentality or this paradigm in the brain that some choices, if I'm facing a choice, I have to consider a lot of factors. So that's practical thinking. I have to think about the time, the money, the dirt, the feeling, Nana's feelings, mommy's feelings, my own feelings. I have to kind of like put together a lot of things. So that helps to promote practical thinking. I'm kind of like running through it because we don't have a lot of time, but I promise you that we're going to have a cheat sheet at the end of it. We're going to go to problem solving and stability. So as far as problem solving, obviously we want to present our children with real life problems. We want those problems to be as complex as possible, no sugarcoating, no making it easier for them. If there's a problem, we want to thoroughly explain it to our child and try to see how they handle it. That's number one. Number two is play strategy games. So like anything from Monopoly to Clue to like strategy games, blackjack, games that require the child to adopt a strategy for victory. And the last thing that we can do is verbally define things as a great challenge. So if your child is swapping to prep, we're not going to say stuff like, oh, here are some of the difficulties that you're going to be facing. Instead, we're going to verbalize that it's a really good challenge. Oh, so it's going to be a great challenge. You're going to try to meet some new friends. I wonder who your friends are going to be. So we're going to try to articulate it as if there is a wonderful thing that is happening, it's going to happen to your child after this problem is being solved. 5 minutes? And emotional stability. There's a few things that we need in our lives for emotional stability. One is to be an emotionally stable parent. So we need to drop drama around friction points. So that means that if there's always a friction point between me and my child during dinner time, TV time, and time to go to sleep, brush my teeth, go to do a last wee, and then go to sleep, these are the areas in life where there's high friction. I'm going to do whatever I can to drop the drama around those friction points. Okay? So if I'm finding myself day after day after day confronting my child, please just go and brush your teeth already, I'm going to have to try to re-navigate toothbrushing situation and figure out something else. Okay? Drop the drama. So if the child, maybe ask them once or twice quietly, maybe just like get their attention more intensely by looking in them in the eyes and holding the hand. Hey, love, I need you to go and brush your teeth now, okay? But it all has to be in a calm manner. Your child needs to see you controlling your own emotions, and your child has to know that you don't have to deteriorate your personality into drama in order to gain their respect. And if you do that, if you demonstrate a good, emotionally stable personality, your child is a lot more likely to be emotionally stable themselves and to have mind rule over heart. The second thing, and I could not stress this enough, is couplehood. The way that you and your partner are communicating. It's also you and your parents, the grandparents of the child. How are you communicating with other allo parents in the child's life? Okay? Communication between two parent figures has to be unified. Okay? Especially parents. The alternative is for my child to come and ask me for something. Mommy, can I watch TV? Well, the answer is no. And then she's going to go to dad. And then she's going to ask dad more sweetly. And then if dad doesn't know that we are one fry